I'm Colleen, and I am sitting on the floor. I'm sitting on the floor because this is a book haul video. And it's easiest to film, for me, on the floor because I have all my books spread out. If you are new here, hello. I'm Colleen. I'm an author and a librarian, and I talk about books and writing on this channel. So in September, I always buy a lot of books. And I don't think I'm done buying books for September. Yeah, even though I have a ton of unread books upstairs, but I've been really in a book buying mood. Let's just talk about what I've bought. It's been a fun month. I did an amazing author event at the Well-Read Damsel, which is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And because of the way I am, I had to do a dry run. I can't just drive someplace I've never been before. The people were saying, like, well, my friends were like, well, what would you have done if you had to fly? Or if it was like an 8-hour drive and you couldn't do it. I was like, well, I would have gone the day before the event and found everywhere that I needed to find. So because I was going the morning of, I wanted to know exactly where I needed to go. So because I went a week early, I went and bought books, which was good because I had thought that event was going to be not the explosion of amazingness it was, and that I was going to have some quiet time probably, and that I was going to probably buy some books. And also, like, there was like a pastry place I really wanted to try. None of that happened. So the week before, I went to the Well-Read Damsel and I grabbed 2 books. And one of them I've already read and I really enjoyed. The other one I haven't read yet. But let's start with those 2. They're obviously both romance, since the Well-Read Damsel is a romance bookstore. The first one is Protect by Paisley Hope. I was just sort of in the mood for a contemporary romance that wasn't a rom-com. And I'm going to be super honest, the cover super sold me. So this is the second book in the series. Now, I'll tell you why I didn't start with the first book. They have this lovely little, I can't show this because it'll get, and I don't know how to blur. They have a lovely little tropes and triggers to let you know what's going to be going on. And the triggers in here, I was fine with. In book 1, there was one trigger in there that I was like, I don't actually like reading that. So I figured I would read this one first and see what I thought about it, and then decide if I want to go back and read the first one. I loved this book. You'll get a full review in my September wrap up. But I'm literally trying to figure out a day which I can drive back to Milwaukee and go to the Well-Read Damsel again and get the rest of the books in this series, and then like a couple other romance novels because I'm just in the mood. I'm in the mood to buy books. But that's the first one I got. The second one I got, I haven't read yet. But it's Never Cross a Highlander by Lisa Rain. I had seen this book a lot online. I had seen the cover and I had heard people talking about it, but I obviously hadn't bought it. And then when I was at the Well-Read Damsel, they had a huge display of Scottish Highlander romance, which I guess it's the area that they have what do you call it? They change the display there often. Right now I know it's fall books because they put up a picture on their Instagram. But so they had all their Highlander books out, and I saw this one and I was like, oh, I've been thinking about that. I've been hearing about it. I'm going to buy it. I haven't started it yet. As you'll see, I have a lot of books on my TBR upstairs, and now I just added a ton more books to my TBR. Okay, so that's everything I got from the Well-Read Damsel. Next, I had my town's very large library fundraising book sale that they do every year. And I told myself I wasn't going to go crazy. And I think I actually did a pretty good job not going crazy. So my goal was 7 books. Now I did buy more than 7. I got 10. For me, that's actually not bad for that sale, because a lot of times I get 25 books. But I was really proud of myself because I also didn't buy any, sometimes I buy actually I probably have some right here. Oh, maybe not. I moved them. Sometimes I buy coffee table type books there. I thought I literally had some right here. I must put them away. Art books or gardening books. And I didn't even let myself look at those sections. I also had very limited time at the book sale because on the first day, I had 30 minutes between. I had the busiest day of my life that day. It was a bummer. I had 30 minutes between a meeting and a blood test that I had to go, my regular yearly blood test. And so I rushed in and got a bunch of books. And then the next day, on the second day of the sale, I could go, but I had not only my 3 daughters, but also I was babysitting my niece who's 4. So I had 4 little girls with me. So that was a little bit, it's very crowded. So that was a little bit not relaxing. I say that I got 10 books at this book sale. I also got children's books, which I'll talk about after. But let's start with the 10 that I got myself. If you've read my book, Bewitching Rosemary, there's the cover, and you know what these books are about. There is a portion of this book that is told as a historical. And when my editor read it, she messaged me and said, have you written anything like a full-length book that's this? And she said, if you have, please send it to me. And then she said, and I said I hadn't. I had some ideas, but I didn't have anything actually written. And then she wrote back, I think you should write and then she put this author's name, esque novel, when you're done with the series. And it was an author I'd never read before. It was John Gwynne. And so last year, when I was at the book sale, I remember I looked for him. And I had been looking for one of his books. Every time we go to Half Price Books, I check, and they haven't had any. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh, I'll grab this. Now, this is a long one. It's actually not that long. It just looks huge. It's 478 pages, but it just looks like a big, huge book. And so I don't know when I'll get to it, but I do think I should read it since my editor said I should write a book similar to it. Oh, I love a map. I just love a book that starts with a map. That's like my dream, to write a book that has a map at the beginning. So that was my first purchase. Next is a book that I have been hemming and hawing on whether or not I should get it from Book of the Month. And it's The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. I'm pretty sure they had Book of the Month had it. I read The Wife Upstairs, and I liked it. And I read The Ex-Hex, which is also Rachel Hawkins and Aaron Sterling are the same person, which I also liked. And so when I saw this, I was like, I kind of want to get some more thrillers read. It's only 276 pages. I thought it'll be a good, quick thriller read for me this fall. So I grabbed that one. I've actually ended up dividing these by the days I got them. So I read Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan this summer, and I really liked it to the point that I thought, I think I'm going to want to read a Annabelle Monaghan book most summers. And so I was just looking at the section. This book sale is thousands of books, and they're not really alphabetical. They try to keep them somewhat alphabetical, but so you look through all the authors whose last names begin with M. And I found Nora Goes Off Script, so I grabbed it thinking, if I want to read it this winter, I can. But I could also wait and read it in the summer. There's actually something in here from whoever donated it. The Alta Lodge in Alta, Utah, in the Wasatch National Forest. It says number 1, ELE or ELA, number 2, Annie, number 3, Lulu, number 4, Sunny. No idea what that means, but that's going to be my bookmark when I read it. And then on the first day, the last thing I got was, and this was hard, so I like to read an Ellen Hilderbrand every summer. And I do actually already have the Identicals upstairs, because I really only read one a summer. One year I read too much Ellen Hilderbrand, and it was it made me not like her as much. So I cooled it on that. So one year I read Winter Street in December, then I read Nantucket Nights in February, which I did not like. Then I read Swan Song in June, which I did like, and then I read 28 Summers in September, which I did not like. And so that was too many. I just read one in July, I think this year. I think I read in July, not June. And then I have a winter book for December. And so we'll see if I want to read one of these in spring or if I should just wait till next summer. But I got 3 Ellen Hildebrands. They had... It was which this might have happened. It was like someone who had owned every single one of Ellen Hilderbrand's books died, and they just donated all her books to the library because they were not every year is like that. There are usually quite a few. I can usually get 1 or 2 Ellen Hildebrands I haven't read before, but this was insane how many there were. So then also there were so many people standing there, so I couldn't really go through each title even though I really wanted to. So I picked some random ones. They were not any ones I had heard before. So I just kind of grabbed them, and I haven't read them. We'll see how they go. Oh, it says the author of Golden Girl. Golden Girl was one of the ones that was there that I didn't grab, and now I'm kind of but I think it was in hardcover, and I wanted to get paperback. So I got Barefoot, which 3 women with their little kids, and I thought that would be a good one for me to read. Even though I'm kind of getting out of that phase, the little kid phase, I still think it's fun to read about. Next, I got The Rumor, best friends with perfect marriages and their beautiful families. And then there's like a rumor going around about both of them. So I'm sure it'll be good. And then lastly, I got The Blue Bistro, which this one I really hadn't heard of. This might be one of her early ones. Let's see. Oh no, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She wrote 8 before this, including Barefoot and Nantucket Nights, which I did read and not very like that much. Oh, it starts with a menu. Oh my God, Menu Summer 2005. I think I'm actually gonna like this because you know what I was doing the summer of 2005? I just graduated college. So it's like such a like snapshot in my mind. I didn't have a job yet. I babysat all summer. That's funny. Okay, so now I have 3 more Ellen Hilderbrands to add to my Ellen Hildebrand collection. And we'll see. Maybe I will end up wanting to read an extra one this year. I just think 4 is too many. And also, it didn't help that I didn't like Nantucket Nights or 28 Summers, so that did not help anything. Okay, so that's everything I got the first day. I lied. I got one more thing the first day, which is really random. But I had been looking for something like this for a long time. And I really have wanted to get back into speaking French. So I took French for 7 years, I want to say. That sounds about right, during like middle school, high school, and college. And by the end of those 7 years, I mean, my last year of taking it in college, I was writing, 4-page papers in French about like film critiques and stuff like that and like criticism of art. And so I really miss understanding French. And this mainly started because I started watching Love is Blind France, and I was understanding a little bit of what they were saying, but not enough that like I could follow anything. But like every once in a while I'd get a word and I was like, I want to go back to understanding French. So I got myself French Without the Fuss. It's a literal beginner's French book. And that is what I wanted. So many things like, do Duolingo, do this. I'm like, I don't want Duolingo. I want like a freshman year of high school French book to just get started with. That's how I want to do it. And so I am looking forward to using this year. I think it'll be really fun. So on day 2, I had very little time to shop because obviously I had my niece and my 3 daughters with me. And so it was a little bit wild. And so first I'll show you what I got, and then I'll show you what they got. I got The Mermaid Chair by Sue Monk Kidd. I loved The Book of Longings, but I never read The Mermaid Chair or The Secret Life of Bees. The Secret Life of Bees was so popular when I worked at the bookstore. Like we sold hundreds upon hundreds of copies of it. And then when this one came out, a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't like it as much. It was a little bit more like magical realism. It was a little bit like weird. And like, I remember my grandma telling me she didn't like it at all because it was way too weird. And the whole time my grandma this is like such a great memory I have of my grandma. My grandma was like a pretty conservative Catholic woman. And so my cousin was standing behind my grandma. And my grandma was like, don't read The Mermaid Chair, talking to me. It's just bizarre. It's so weird. You will not like you. And my cousin's behind her who has read it. And she's like, you'll love it. So this was, how many years ago was this? This was close to 20 years ago. So I finally got it, and I'm finally gonna be able to read it. The Book of Longings was so beautiful, so I am looking forward to that a lot. And then they had a very small romance section, because I don't know, my town is weird, so people don't donate their romance novels. But I got Rules for Heiresses by Amelie Howard. Amelie, I think is how you say that, Howard. And I just grabbed this because I liked the cover. I like a historical romance cover with what do they call it, a clinch shot. It's 300 pages. And I know I'm going to want to read something like this at some point. And then lastly, they did have an entire box of old school romance novels. And I couldn't bring myself to buy more than one because I don't know if I'm going to like it, obviously. It's going to be very different from the romance I'm used to reading. And so I didn't want to buy a ton, but like I had to grab that cover. It looks so awesome. And it's Georgette Heyer, who I know a lot of people really enjoy her stuff. It's called Cousin Kate. Drawn into the life of luxury at a secluded country estate, a spirited orphan finds herself the pawn in an insidious marriage scheme. And you can see there's like another guy in the background, and there's like a beautiful gazebo back there. And I have to give it a try and see. And I'm sure it's going to be like what do they call it? Kiss, Kiss, Slap, Slap. Oh, 1968. My mom was too young to read this when it came out. So I can't wait to give it a try though. From bodice rippers to children's books, let's move on. So the first kids book I got, because it's a kids book that I want to read out loud to my kids, and I was so excited they had it because I had it on like my to buy list. I keep a list in my phone of like books I'm looking for that it's not like I need right this second, but like I want to get in the next, year or so. So every time I go to Half Price Books or I'm wherever, I look for it. It was Redwall by Brian, I would say Jacques, but I worked at a bookstore and the woman who was our buyer called him Brian Jakes, which is a bizarre way to pronounce it. I don't know if that was her mispronouncing it, but I would say it's Brian Jacques or maybe Brian Jacques if you want to make it a little bit more American. But one of my kids who's 9, she and one of my kids who's 7, they both love like little creatures. They love like Brambly Hedge and they love like little cozy things. They also, the 9-year-old loves Lord of the Rings. And I thought this would probably be a really fun book for me to read out loud to them. So I am going to read this out loud to them. It's got a nice map, of course. I read this book when I was like 9. It was a very long time ago, maybe older. Maybe I was more like 10 or 11. I actually think it was in 4th grade. So I was like 10-ish, more likely. And I remember thinking it was good. Like I wasn't obsessed. I never read any other books in the series, but I thought this might be a fun one for us to give it a try. Okay, one of the books my girls bought, I can't find. And I think one of the twins might have brought it to school. So my twins, I told them they could each pick out 2 books and they got 4 books in the same series together so they could share them. And this is the series, we're missing one, and they're called Star Darlings. And I don't know exactly what they do. So this girl's an athlete. My athletic twin picked that one. This one's a fashion designer. My more girly twin picked that one. And this one looks like she might be like a skateboarder. I don't know. And then we're missing one that's like purple. They're a little hard for them. So they're in 2nd grade. So they're not going to be able to read these for a little while. But I'm also a big proponent of there is something important about just having a book, even if you're not reading it and you're just enjoying looking at the words and at the pages and reading the best you can. I don't think that's a bad thing. So those 3, and there's a missing 4th one. Who knows where it is? Now, these are the books my older daughter got, and she did finagle 3 out of me because she will always be able to finagle more than everyone else gets because that's just her personality. The first one and the one she's reading right now is Hockey Wars 2, The New Girl. She had not read the first one, but she really likes these stories that are kind of like sports fiction, but specifically about girls. Like she read another series that was about playing soccer, and she read a gymnastics one. So when she saw the hockey one, she was like, oh, I'll try that. And so she just started it. I don't even think she has a bookmark, but she was reading it last night. Some of the pages are falling out, which is going to make it difficult. Oh, she's right here. She's only on page 5. So she literally read half of the first chapter last night, but she's reading that one. And then she also got this one. She just wanted to get Very Rich by Polly Horvath. I remember that author. It said she won a Newbery Honor for Everything on a Waffle, which is probably why I remember her name. I don't know if she's written anything that I've read, but let's just check. I don't think so. And I don't really know what this was about. It was very inexpensive. I think it was $2. And so when she asked for it, I said that was fine. She could get it. And then lastly, she picked the book Savvy by Ingrid Law, which I've read. So I read this back when I worked at a bookstore in a children's department. And I remember thinking it was really cute and I liked it a lot. And it was fun. I don't remember the details very well. I read it I read it the year it came out. So let's see, because I remember reading the hardcover. So I read it in 2008. So that was a long time ago. And it was really cute. So when she brought that one, I was like, yeah, you can get it. We'll read this together. Because again, it's a little bit of she's in 4th grade. So I think she can read it, but whoever was reading it gave up on page 50. But it's a thick book. Like for a middle grade reader, that's a pretty thick book. So is this one she got. These are both pretty thick. This is more the normal length she's reading. So, but I think she'll give it a try. I said to her, oh, I read that book. I read that book when I was in my 20s when I was working at the bookstore. And she goes, oh, well, I guess I could save it till I'm in my 20s. And I said, oh no, not because it's like a 20-year-old reading level. I read it because I was working in the children's department then. That's my book haul. That's my big, beautiful book haul. And I'm going to bring them upstairs and start working on them. Yeah, start cracking away. I have a lot of writing work to do, so of course all I want to do is read. If you made it to the end of the video, please tell me if you've read any of these. I know some of these are kind of random, like this one, but I do feel like probably quite a few of you have read maybe some of these Ellen Hildebrands, maybe The Mermaid Chair, maybe Nora Goes Off Script, or the Rachel Hawkins, or even the John Gwynne. If you love Redwall, tell me your favorite character is, because I can't wait to see who my girls are going to love. And if you don't want to write words, give me that big stack of books emoji, because that's always welcome. And as always, I hope you're in the middle of a good book, about to start reading a good book, or about to start writing a great book. And I'll see you soon.